The stars looked like diamonds scattered on a black velvet blanket. The travel cube was moving so fast that the stars turned into long streaks of light. Inside the cube, it was very quiet. Whis was holding his staff and looking forward. His face was calm. He did not look worried at all. But behind him, the four warriors were not calm. They were silent, but their minds were loud. Goku was sitting with his legs crossed. He was eating a rice ball that Whis had packed. He was chewing slowly. Usually Goku ate fast, but today he was thinking. He was thinking about the black fist that had crushed him. He was thinking about how helpless he felt. Beside him, Vegeta was standing with his arms crossed. He was staring at the wall of the cube. His eyes were focused on nothing. He was angry. He was grinding his teeth. The sound was faint, but in the silence it was audible. He was the prince of all Saiyans, and he had been humiliated, again, by Frieza. It was a nightmare he could not wake up from. Piccolo was sitting in a meditative pose. His eyes were closed. He was healing. The hole in his shoulder was gone, thanks to Dende. But the phantom pain was still there. He was replaying the battle in his mind. He was trying to find a mistake in Frieza's technique, but there were no mistakes. Frieza was perfect. That was the scary part. Frieza was not fighting with wild rage like before. He was fighting with cold precision. Gohan was sitting near the back of the cube. He was looking at his hands. His hands were trembling just a little bit. He clenched them into fists to stop the shaking. He was not scared for himself. He was scared for Pan. He was scared for Videl. He had left them on a planet ruled by a monster. He felt guilty. He felt like he ran away. But he knew he had to run away to come back stronger. It was a tactical retreat. Whis tapped his staff on the floor of the cube. The sound broke the silence. He spoke without turning around. He said they were arriving. He told them to prepare their eyes. The view was going to be overwhelming. The streaks of light outside the cube slowed down. They turned back into dots. Then a massive orange glow filled the cube. It was so bright that Goku had to cover his eyes. When his eyes adjusted, he gasped. "Whoa," Goku said. "It's huge." In front of them was a Super Dragon Ball. It was the size of a planet. It was an orange star made of glass. Inside the glass, there were red stars. Each red star was the size of a continent. The ball was floating in the dark space between Universe 6 and Universe 7. It was silent and ancient. It hummed with a low vibration that shook their bones. We steered the cube towards the surface of the ball. As they got closer, the curve of the ball disappeared. It just looked like a flat orange ground that went on forever. Vegeta looked at the ball. He asked Whis where the entrance was. He said it just looked like a giant marble. Whis smiled. He said the entrance was not a door. It was a test. Zalama, the dragon god, did not use keys. He used spirit. Whis landed the cube on the surface. The ground was smooth and warm. It felt like walking on polished amber. They stepped out of the cube. There was no air in space, but Whis had cast a spell so they could breathe. The sky above them was pitch black, filled with distant galaxies. Piccolo walked forward. He was the one who could read the ancient Namekian language. He looked at the ground. He knelt down and touched the smooth surface. He closed his eyes. He sent his energy into the ball. He was looking for a signature. He was looking for the language of the dragons. Suddenly, symbols began to glow under his hand. They were golden symbols. They were complicated and jagged. Piccolo's eyes widened. He said he found it. This was the writing of the dragon god. Goku ran over. He asked what it said. Piccolo read it slowly. He said, "Only those who are empty may be filled. Only those who are broken may be forged. Speak the name of the creator and enter the void. Piccolo looked at the group. He said the name was Zalama, but it was not just saying a word. They had to mean it. They had to respect it. Vegeta scoffed. He said he respected power. He looked at the sky and shouted, "Zalama." Nothing happened. The echo faded into the vacuum. Vegeta frowned. He shouted again louder, "Zalama, open up." Still nothing. Whis giggled. He covered his mouth with his hand. He said Vegeta was too loud. He said dragons do not like noise. They like intent. Gohan stepped forward. He closed his eyes. He thought about why he was here. He was not here for glory. He was not here for a good fight like his dad. He was here to save his family. He was here because he was desperate. He whispered the name, Zalama. The ground beneath Gohan began to ripple. It turned into liquid. A golden light shot up from the ground. It formed a circle around the group. The circle spun. Then the floor dropped out. They fell. They did not scream. They just fell into the golden light. They landed on a stone floor. It was hard and cold. They were no longer on the surface. They were inside. But it did not look like the inside of a ball. It looked like a giant temple. The ceiling was miles high, supported by pillars that looked like dragon necks. The walls were covered in carvings of dragons eating stars. The air was thick and smelled like old paper and incense. Standing in front of them was a figure. It was not a dragon. It was a humanoid. He was tall and thin. He had green skin like a Namekian, but his eyes were gold. He wore robes made of white silk. He held a staff with a miniature super dragon ball on top. He looked at them with zero emotion. Piccolo stepped forward. He bowed. He asked if this was the trial. The figure nodded. His voice sounded like many voices speaking at once. He said he was the keeper. He said they had entered the domain of Zalama. He asked why they were here. Goku stepped up. He said they needed power. He said a bad guy was going to blow up their planet. The keeper did not blink. He said the universe blows up planets every day. Stars die. Galaxies collide. Destruction is natural. Why should he interfere? Gohan walked to the front. He looked the keeper in the eye. He said destruction might be natural, but malice is not. He said Frieza was not destroying for balance. He was destroying for hate. And hate creates an imbalance. Gohan said they wanted the power to restore the balance. The keeper looked at Gohan. He tilted his head. He looked at the pink energy hiding deep inside Gohan. He smiled a very small smile. He said that was a good answer. The keeper tapped his staff. The room changed. The walls fell away. They were standing on a narrow bridge made of light. Below them was an endless abyss of swirling grey clouds. Above them was a sky made of lightning. The keeper floated up. He said the trial had 3 stages: the body, the mind, and the soul. If they failed any stage, they would fall into the abyss. And the abyss was not death. It was erasure. They would be forgotten. Vegeta looked at the abyss. He spat. He said he wasn't afraid of heights. He walked forward on the bridge. The moment his foot touched the bridge, he fell to his knees. Slam. It sounded like a car crash. Vegeta grunted. He tried to push himself up, but he couldn't. His face was pressed against the light. Goku ran to help him. But as soon as Goku stepped on the bridge, he fell too. Smash! Goku groaned. He felt like a planet was sitting on his back. Piccolo tried to step on, and he was flattened instantly. Gohan was the last one. He looked at his friends on the ground. He understood. This was the trial of the body. It was gravity, but not normal gravity. It was the weight of their own potential pressing down on them. The keeper floated above them. He said this bridge reacts to strength. The stronger you are, the heavier it gets. It forces you to carry your own power. If you cannot carry your own existence, you cannot ascend. Vegeta was shaking. His muscles were bulging. He was trying to stand up. He shouted. He tried to turn Super Saiyan. But the moment he flared his energy, the weight got 10 times heavier. His nose started to bleed. The keeper said using energy was cheating. They had to stand up with their base physical bodies. They had to be strong without the flash. Gohan stepped onto the bridge. The weight hit him. It felt like the ocean was poured onto his shoulders. His knees buckled. He almost fell, but he caught himself. He put his hands on his knees. He breathed in, out. He focused on his legs. He focused on his spine. He slowly straightened his back. It was agonizing. His bones creaked, but he stood up. He took one step, then another. He looked at his father. "Dad, don't fight it. Just accept the weight. Don't push against it. Carry it." Goku heard Gohan. He stopped struggling. He relaxed his muscles. He stopped trying to explode with power. He focused on endurance. Slowly, Goku stood up. He was trembling, but he was standing. Vegeta saw this. He growled. He refused to be the only one on the ground. He forced his body to obey his will. He stood up. Piccolo stood up too, using his Namekian regeneration to handle the stress on his joints. They walked across the bridge. It was a long walk. Every step was a battle. Sweat poured off them like rain. They were gasping for air. But they didn't stop. They reached the end of the bridge. They collapsed on the platform on the other side. The weight vanished. They felt light as feathers. They lay there, breathing hard. The keeper nodded. He said they had passed the first trial. They had proven their bodies were vessels capable of holding great weight. Now, for the second trial, the trial of the mind. The platform they were on began to rise. It went up into the lightning sky. It stopped in a room made of mirrors. There were mirrors on the floor, the ceiling, and the walls. Thousands of reflections. The keeper said this trial was simple. They had to defeat the enemy. Suddenly, the reflections in the mirrors began to move. They stepped out of the glass. But they were not normal reflections. Out of Goku's mirror came a Goku with black eyes and a cruel smile. Out of Vegeta's mirror came a Vegeta wearing his old Saiyan armor, looking arrogant and evil. Out of Piccolo's mirror came the old Demon King Piccolo. And out of Gohan's mirror came a version of Gohan that was sleeping. Just sleeping. Goku looked at his reflection. "Hey, you look like me." The mirror Goku punched real Goku in the face. Goku flew back. "Ow, that hurt." The fight began. It was chaos. Mirror Vegeta was shouting about being the prince and blasting real Vegeta. Demon King Piccolo was laughing and stretching his arms to strangle real Piccolo. But Gohan was confused. His reflection was just sleeping on the floor. Gohan walked over to it. He poked it. "Hey, wake up." The sleeping Gohan didn't move. Gohan looked at the keeper. "What is this? Why is everyone else fighting?" The keeper said, "Your enemy is not malice, Gohan. Your enemy is dormancy. Your enemy is the part of you that wants to rest. The part of you that wants to be normal. The part of you that hates fighting. That is what holds you back." Gohan looked at the sleeping body. He realized the keeper was right. Even now, with Frieza on Earth, a small part of Gohan wished he was back at the university reading a book. A part of him resented the responsibility of being the strongest. That resentment was a chain. The sleeping Gohan opened his eyes. They were blank white. The sleeping Gohan stood up. He yawned. Then he punched Gohan in the stomach. The punch was heavy. It felt lazy, but it had the weight of a mountain. Gohan fell back. The sleeping Gohan spoke. His voice was tired. "Why do we have to do this? Let's just go home. Let Goku handle it. Let Vegeta handle it. We are scholars. We are fathers. We are not warriors. Gohan stood up. He wiped blood from his mouth. We are all of those things, Gohan said. We don't have to choose. The sleeping Gohan shook his head. You are tired. I can feel it. You are so tired of saving the world. The sleeping clone fired a Kamehameha. Gohan blocked it. He skidded back. He looked at the clone. He realized he couldn't beat this clone by fighting, because fighting made him more tired, which fed the clone. He had to beat the clone by waking it up, by giving it a purpose. Gohan walked through the Kamehameha. The beam burned his skin, but he ignored it. He walked up to the clone. He grabbed the clone by the shoulders. He looked into the white eyes. We are tired, Gohan admitted, but we are needed. And being needed is a gift. We protect Pan. We protect the future. That is not a burden. That is a privilege. The clone paused. The white eyes faded. They turned into normal black eyes. The clone smiled a tired smile. Then it shattered into glass. The shards of glass flew into Gohan. They absorbed into his skin. Gohan felt a rush of energy. He felt awake. More awake than he had been in years. The part of him that wanted to sleep was gone. He was fully committed. Meanwhile, Goku had defeated his evil clone by accepting his Saiyan instincts. Vegeta had defeated his past self by accepting his growth. Piccolo had defeated his demon heritage by accepting his Namekian pride. The mirrors shattered. The room was empty. The keeper clapped his hands slowly. Impressive. You have conquered the body and the mind. Now, the final trial. The soul. The keeper waved his staff. The floor dissolved. They fell again. This time, they fell into a white void. There was nothing. No ground. No sky. Just white. They floated there. The keeper's voice echoed. To pass the final trial, you must rewrite your limits. You must unlock the potential that does not exist. Suddenly, a giant dragon appeared in the white void. It was Zalama. He was gold and red. He was bigger than a galaxy. His eyes were like suns. He opened his mouth. He breathed fire. But the fire was not hot. It was pure information. It was the knowledge of the universe. The fire engulfed them. Inside the fire, they had to meditate. They had to find their new power. Goku closed his eyes. He sought a deeper level of ultra instinct. Vegeta sought a deeper level of destruction. Piccolo sought the power of the dragon god itself. And Gohan sought the bridge. Gohan sat in the fire. He felt the rose energy. It was divine and calm. He felt the beast energy. It was wild and red. They were still separate. They were like oil and water. Gohan remembered the bridge trial. He remembered the weight. He realized that to mix them, he needed pressure. He needed to compress them until they fused. Gohan began to scream. He pushed his energy inward. He squeezed his own soul. It hurt. It felt like he was crushing his own heart. But he kept pushing. The pink and the red began to touch. They began to spark. While the Z fighters were in the fire of Zalama, things on Earth were getting worse. It had been 1 week since Frieza issued his threat. Frieza was still sitting on the roof of Capsule Corp. He was getting bored. He had drunk all the wine in Bulma's cellar. He had scared all the citizens of West City away. The city was a ghost town. In the mountains, deep underground, Dr. Hedo was panicking. He watched the news. He saw Frieza. He thought Frieza was an alien invader sent to enslave Earth. Hedo wanted to be a hero. He looked at his creation, Cellmax. It was a giant bio-android. It was red and green. It had a tail with a heavy ball on the end. It was still in the tank. The brain programming was not finished. It was only 80% complete. If he woke it up now, it would be a mindless beast. But Hedo felt he had no choice. He had 2 other androids. Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. They were superheroes. They were standing at attention. They were wearing capes and cowls. Gamma 1 was red. Gamma 2 was blue. Heido told them the plan. They would go to the city. They would challenge the alien tyrant. If they couldn't win, Heido would release the giant. The Gammas saluted. "For justice," they shouted. They flew out of the bunker. They flew towards West City. Frieza sensed them coming. He looked up from his wine glass. He saw two small dots approaching. He squinted. "More flies," he muttered. The Gammas landed on the roof. They posed. They pointed at Frieza. "Hulk villain," shouted Gamma 1. "Your reign of terror ends today," shouted Gamma 2. Frieza looked at them. He looked at their capes. He started to laugh. "Oh, this is adorable. Are you clowns? Or are you the circus?" Gamma 2 got angry. "We are the superheroes." He charged at Frieza. He punched Frieza. Frieza didn't block. The punch hit Frieza's cheek. It made a small thud. Frieza didn't move an inch. He slowly turned his head to look at Gamma 2. "Was that a punch?" Frieza asked. "Or a kiss?" Frieza flicked Gamma 2. Gamma 2 flew backward and crashed into a satellite dish. Gamma 1 was shocked. He pulled out a blaster gun. He fired energy beams. Pew, pew, pew. Frieza caught the beams with his fingers. He crushed them into dust. "You are annoying," Frieza said. He stood up. He raised his hand. "Die." He fired a death beam. It went through Gamma 1's shoulder. Gamma 1 fell down. Gamma 2 screamed. He jumped back in. He tried to kick Frieza. Frieza grabbed his leg. He slammed Gamma 2 into the roof. The roof cracked. Goten and Trunks were watching from a hidden spot nearby. They were wearing their Great Saiyaman X1 and X2 costumes. They saw the Gammas getting beaten. Trunks whispered, "Those guys look like good guys. Should we help?" Goten nodded. "Yeah, let's go." They jumped out. "Stop right there," Trunks shouted. Frieza looked at them. "Oh look, the monkey cubs. I was wondering when you would show up." Trunks pulled out his sword, a prop sword, but he infused it with Kai. He slashed at Frieza. Frieza caught the blade with 2 fingers and snapped it. Goten tried to punch Frieza. Frieza dodged and tail-whipped Goten. It was a massacre. Frieza was simply too strong. He was playing with them like a cat plays with mice. He wasn't even using his golden form. He was in his base form. Back in the bunker, Dr. Heido saw everything on his monitor. His heroes were dying. He started to cry. He slammed his fist on the big red button. "Go! Cell Max! Save them!" The giant tank in the back of the lab drained. The glass shattered. A roar shook the earth. It was a roar that sounded like a mixture of a machine and a dinosaur. Cell Max woke up. His eyes glowed red. He smashed through the ceiling of the bunker. He flew into the sky. He was huge. He was the size of a kaiju. He landed in West City. The impact destroyed 10 blocks. He roared again. He looked around. He saw Frieza. He saw the Gammas. He didn't care who was who. He just wanted to destroy. He fired a laser from his mouth. The laser hit the building and vaporized it. Frieza looked at the giant red monster. He looked surprised. "What is this ugly thing? A giant bug?" Cell Max swung his giant arm. He tried to squash Frieza. Frieza flew up. The hand missed him. Frieza looked at the monster. He smiled. Finally, something big enough to punch. Frieza flew at Cell Max. He punched Cell Max in the face. Cell Max's head snapped back. But Cell Max didn't fall. He was incredibly durable. Cell Max grabbed Frieza. He squeezed him. Frieza grunted. Strong grip, but not strong enough. Frieza flared his energy. He turned golden. He broke the grip. He flew up high. He charged a death ball. "Begone, pest!" He threw the ball. It hit Selmax. The explosion was massive. The whole city was engulfed in light. When the smoke cleared, Selmax was still standing. He was burned, but he was healing. He was angry. He began to charge a massive energy ball on his back. It was a sphere of destruction. Back in the Trial of the Soul, the Z fighters were reaching their breaking point. The fire of Zalamar was burning away their old selves. Gohan was screaming. The pressure inside his soul was critical. The pink and the red were swirling faster and faster. They were getting closer. Snap! Something inside Gohan broke. But it wasn't a bad break. It was a barrier breaking. The two colors collided. They didn't explode. They merged. They created a new color. It was a deep, royal magenta. It was dark, but it shone with a white core. Gohan opened his eyes. The white void around him shattered. He was floating in the temple again. The keeper was watching. Gohan stood up. His gi was gone on the top half. His muscles were defined. His hair was long, like in his beast form, but it was the color of a rose petal dipped in silver. His eyes were silver with red rings. His aura was calm, but it felt heavy. It felt like the gravity bridge. Goku stood up too. He had changed. His ultra instinct was no longer silver. It was transparent. He had achieved true ultra instinct, a state where he could use his emotions while dodging. Vegeta stood up. His eyebrows were gone. He was in his ultra ego form, but his aura was contained. He had learned to control the destruction, not just let it run wild. Piccolo stood up. He had turned orange. He was wider, stronger. Orange Piccolo. The keeper nodded. "You have passed. You have rewritten your limits. You are no longer mortals. You are candidates for divinity." The keeper waved his staff. "The trial is over, but your time is short. Earth is burning." Gohan looked at the keeper. "Thank you." He didn't wait for Whis. He didn't wait for the cube. Gohan raised his hand. He slashed the air. He didn't use instant transmission. He used his new power to cut a hole in the dimension. He could see Earth through the hole. He could see Cell Max. He could see Golden Frieza. "Let's go," Gohan said. His voice was deep. It echoed with the power of the Dragon God. Goku grinned. "Awesome." They jumped through the hole. Back on Earth, Cell Max was about to fire his giant ball of doom. Frieza was charging a blast to counter it. The collision would destroy the continent. The Gammas were unconscious. Goten and Trunks were huddled together, exhausted. Suddenly, the sky tore open. A magenta light spilled out. It was brighter than the sun. Gohan stepped out of the tear. He floated between Frieza and Cell Max. He looked at the giant energy ball Cell Max was holding. He looked at Frieza. Frieza froze. He looked at Gohan. He saw the long hair. He saw the color. He felt the pressure. It was the same pressure he felt when he fought Beerus. "You," Frieza whispered. "You came back." Gohan didn't speak. He looked at Cell Max. The giant monster roared and threw the energy ball at Gohan. The ball was the size of a moon. Gohan didn't dodge. He didn't blast it. He just raised his hand and caught it. He caught the moon-sized energy ball with one hand. The ground didn't shake. The air didn't vibrate. Gohan simply absorbed the momentum. He looked at the ball. He closed his fingers. Crunch. He crushed the energy ball into nothingness. It fizzled out like a wet firework. Cell Max looked confused. His tiny brain couldn't process it. Gohan turned to Frieza. "Sorry we're late. Traffic was heavy." Frieza started to laugh. It was a manic laugh. "Marvelous. Simply marvelous. You have found a new trick. Come then, Divine Beast. Show me." Frieza turned black instantly. The sky went dark. Gohan looked at Goku and Vegeta. You guys handled the big bug. Frieza is mine. Goku nodded. Got it. Come on, Vegeta, and let's squash a bug. Vegeta cracked his knuckles. With pleasure. Gohan turned back to Black Frieza. He floated closer. Their faces were inches apart. No more games, Frieza, Gohan said. No more holding back. Today, one of us dies. Frieza grinned, showing his sharp teeth. I agree, and it won't be me. The screen fades to black as their auras clash, splitting the clouds in half. The final battle for Earth has begun. The King of Darkness versus the God of Dragons. The war concludes in the next episode. The ultimate clash is here. Don't miss the next episode.